Cristiano Ronaldo has done unbelievable things with annoying journalists, but it's nothing compared to what Ibrahimovic and Pep Guardiola have done. Today, you'll see what happens when football players put disrespectful interviewers in their place. Let's start with Cristiano Ronaldo. The most famous one from the Portuguese player was when he simply threw a journalist's microphone into a lake. This happened because he wasn't doing well in the Euro Cup and had made it clear he didn't want to give interviews. But this nosy journalist showed up anyway. But that's not the only one. At Real Madrid, he gave one of the most epic interviews ever.
Si algo te caracteriza a ti es que siempre has marcado muchos goles, tanto en casa como fuera de casa, incluso fuera de casa más. Es más importante. Y esta temporada creo que tu último gol fuera es del 30 de noviembre. ¿Por qué te está costando un poco más de trabajo marcar fuera?
Desde que estoy en España, dime un jugador que ha marcado más goles que yo fuera de casa. Uno.
And he's been controversial from a young age. When he first got to Real Madrid, a poorly informed journalist messed up the name of one of his friends. Check out what happened.
Concentrado, ¿qué es ese jugador? Jugador, sí. Concentrado. Coentrao.
Sometimes, Ronaldo doesn't even give the journalist a chance to say anything.
¿Para dónde? ¿Qué es CMTV? Então esqueça que eu não vou responder.
And that's not all. But before we continue seeing how Cristiano deals with disrespectful journalists, check out what Ibrahimovic does when someone steps on his toes.
A lot of people speak about your relationship with Edison.
A lot of people or you?
A lot of press people.
A lot of people or you? Good. You seem to know better than me. But you're writing about it, not me. But still you're talking about it, so how do you know?
He doesn't just respond, he humiliates the interviewer. Some people think he even went too far, but in this case, he was even worse.
Since 2 months.
Yeah. In champion? In the championship, in League One?
Saint-Etienne?
Yeah, but it's...
Please, my friend, stop. If you don't know your information, don't talk.
Another super controversial player is Mario Balotelli. Check out what he did to a photographer from Manchester City. While playing for Milan, he did even worse when he refused to answer a question from a journalist at The Sun.
Listen, your newspaper, from when I get to England, he always talk bad about me, so I don't want to speak with your newspaper, sorry.
But things are different with Sergio Ramos. Speaking of him, it's not always that the defender is mean to journalists. Look at what he did to a fan who interrupted his interview.
Working. Have a little bit of respect. We're talking.
If there's one player who loves to stir things up, it's Neymar. He always takes a jab at journalists, especially the Brazilian ones. Check out what he said when someone asked about his personal life.
Você fala bastante em grupo, preza bastante o discurso da coletividade, mas é um jogador que costuma entrar em campo nos treinos sozinho, sempre isolado dos demais. Não sei se por orientação dos patrocinadores para aparecer sozinho nas imagens dos fotografistas e fotógrafos.
Você está de brincadeira você falar isso aí, né? Ai, meu Deus. Olha, eu acho que você tem que começar a ver as coisas que eu faço dentro de campo, as coisas particulares a partir do momento que eu tô fora, né? Independente de qualquer coisa, é particular. As coisas são minhas. Eu tô falando com vocês, tem como olhar pra mim, por gentileza? Ah, obrigado. Você me pergunta, vamos olhar um no olho, pra ter um clima de amigo, pô. Sem ficar bravo, sem ficar chateado, tá?
While playing for a Brazilian team, he came out with this comment to a reporter. But the master of humiliating, annoying journalists is Pep Guardiola. Look at his lack of patience with a dumb question in a press conference.
Sorry, I don't understand. What is it that other teams are getting help with then?
Listen, We play a football game, we want it, and we lost against Crystal Palace, but we deserve it because Crystal Palace was better.
But that's nothing compared to what happened in this interview with a persistent journalist.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. It's my colleague, I respect my colleague, and colleague can play like, look at me when I talk to you.
And he's such a good coach that he even taught another journalist how to do his job.
I give him my advice. Don't ask these questions to Ange, the players. Don't do it. Don't ask them. We'll be offended.
Now, this coach really crossed the line. Louis van Gaal simply called a journalist fat.
We don't speak anymore about Wayne Rooney.
Okay, thank
you have criticized him. I don't. You too.
But the coach who has humiliated journalists the most is Jose Mourinho. Before we talk about him, check out what Ronaldo said when asked about who's the best in history.
Would you say that you two are the best players of all time, better than Pele, Maradona?
I'm pushed to myself. I don't need other players to push myself. As I say many times, in my opinion, I'm the best.
When paparazzi bothered him at his house, Cristiano went up to the fence and said this.
Estou feliz, mas vocês deixam-me triste, porque vocês estão sempre aqui, sempre a andar aqui à volta da casa. Vocês deixam-me triste dessa forma.
Look at the player's honesty when talking about who he thought was the favorite for the Champions League.
Já não digo nada. Todos os anos sempre a mesma coisa. Chelsea, Arsenal, Inter, Madrid.
But he did worse in the Spanish league when he literally called a reporter stupid.
¿Quieres que te conteste? Si fueras un periodista inteligente, me preguntabas algo de hoy.
One channel simply lost the chance to have an exclusive interview with Cristiano because of pure incompetence.
Your contract is up in 2018.
Mas eu não mando nada, eu estava a fazer perguntas. Queres que eu seja bruto com o homem? My friend.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Vocês é que têm que fazer essa parte, pá, acaba, não sou então eu.
The same thing happened in this interview.
A ver una cosa,
Speak about FIFA, I don't care about FIFA. Don't give a
And the best part is his response when asked about the game against Messi.
Pero yo no voy a jugar contra Messi, voy a jugar contra Barcelona.
Speaking of him, the worst enemy of reporters is Messi. In this interview, the reporters started crying, and Messi just didn't know what to do.
Lo único que te deseo es que seas muy feliz, que te vaya muy bien siempre en la vida, te lo mereces. Tengo una profunda admiración por vos. Soy,
Gracias.
Soy un pibe.
But the most controversial Argentine of all is Maradona. He simply ran over a journalist's foot.
¡Qué boludo que sos! ¿Cómo vas a poner el pie abajo de la rueda, viejo?
Jose Mourinho lost his patience with the journalist. At the start of the interview, he was already in a bad mood.
Jose, what's your overall impression of tonight's performance?
We didn't score. Don't score. It's not possible to win.
And at the end, he just said this live.
What particularly did you feel that the referee should have pulled them up on that?
Well, if you don't know football, you shouldn't be with the microphone in your hand.
But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Watch him lose his patience when asked about Gabriel Paulista.
I think you should speak about Gabriel Paulista. Good player.
When he was coaching Manchester United, they asked him a question in Portuguese, his native language. But that didn't go over well with the coach.
Se sente alguma pressão para este jogo contra a Juventus?
Are there Italian journalists? No.
Yeah, sorry, it's either English or Italian.
This is Portuguese.
Yeah, we can't.
And to wrap it up, I think we can say there's nothing more to say about Mourinho.
I have nothing to say.
Nothing to say about the game at all?
Nothing. I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say. I'm so sorry, I have nothing to say.
Another coach who's just as controversial is Jurgen Klopp, whom we'll talk about in a bit. Meanwhile, check out Pogba, who simply threw a reporter into a pool. They asked Benzema about the drama between Mbappe and Real Madrid, and look at the blunt response from the striker.
Yo voy a decir que vamos a jugar el sábado un final de Champions League. No es el momento de hablar de esa pequeñita cosa.
But the master of giving blunt answers is Erling Haaland. After the journalist asked a long question, the striker just said this.
After the final whistle, you and the whole teammates, you were going to the south stand, the famous yellow wall, which was empty today, of course. Why did you do that?
Why not?
Javi Hernandez completely lost it when a journalist said something stupid about the Vinny Jr. incident and the insults he was facing.
Si no es por el madridismo, esto no es... No, pero es que hay que sacar ya da igual la camiseta. De Vinicius es persona, no es futbolista del Madrid antes que persona.
Another forward who put a reporter in her place was Rodrigo. When she asked about a controversy she had spread, this happened.
Primeiro, para ser sincero, como eu gosto de você, fiquei chateado com você também pela pergunta que você fez pro Modric.
A former Liverpool player made a bad comment about Jurgen Klopp, and when a journalist asked him about it, he was simply humiliated.
Oh, great, he's a fantastic source. Well respected everywhere. I actually think Didi Hamann doesn't deserve that you, to use his phrase to ask me a question. Do me a favor and ask your own question. That's good.
And that wasn't the only time he put down a reporter.
Really disappointed about that question, but you thought obviously it's good. So too many games, so I don't think that. Come on, you are obviously not in a great shape, and I have no nerves for you.
Now, an old school player who did something bizarre was Romario. Look at what Romario said about a comment from the former player and now commentator Casagrande.
Casagrande nunca chutou em lugar nenhum, nunca foi campeão de... Quem é o Casagrande para falar de mim? Não existe. Eu tenho que aturar o Casagrande e falar de mim. Falar de mim não, falar monte de merda na televisão como se ele conhecesse alguma coisa de futebol. Sabe nada.
Now check out Rooney's reaction when he was asked about a transfer rumor after a Champions League game.
Listen, I've just told you I'm concentrating on my football, which I'm doing all summer.
Back to legendary coaches. Check out the comeback Arsene Wenger made when a reporter talked about a trophyless season for Arsenal.
The point I was going to make with the Champions League is this is now your last chance to win a trophy this season.
Look, I've been accused of not taking seriously the FA Cup on Saturday. I've won 4 times the FA Cup. Who has won it more? Give me one name.
When Marcelo Vieira was asked if Brazil wasn't producing any more star players, he lost his patience.
Tu acha mesmo que o Brasil não tá formando craque? Essa pergunta é tua? Porque eu acho sacanagem você falar isso, cara. Falar que o Brasil não tá formando craque.
And the worst part is that shortly after, another reporter messed up by getting his birth date wrong.
O Brasil vai estrear contra a Croácia dia 12 de junho e é dia do seu aniversário. Já parou para pensar? É 12 de junho, não é? Seu aniversário? Que dia é seu aniversário?
12 de maio.
12 de junho.
Pô, tu quer saber aqui, ó? Tá de sacanagem. Pô, a gente tá brincando, velho.
And this reporter had the nerve to use Google Translate to ask Griezmann a question.
Je suis Pedro. Je voulais vous demander si vous avez pris la décision de continuer à l'Atlético Madrid ou si vous allez jouer dans Barça la saison.
But it's not always that players humiliate reporters, especially when they're beautiful reporters. Look at what Casillas did with this one after winning the World Cup. Just to be clear, she was his wife. Just like this Boca Juniors player's wife. Zichenko did the same thing. And to end on a good note, showing that not everything is a battle, here's a beautiful conversation between Pep and a Portuguese journalist after Portugal's elimination from the Euro. It's enough to bring tears to your eyes.
Bem, não sei qual vai ser a sua decisão, se vai continuar, se vai desistir, mas antes da sua decisão, deixe-me lhe dar os parabéns e os portugueses quererão fazer isso também, pela sua carreira fantástica nesta seleção nacional, pela sua longevidade fantástica com este símbolo ao peito. Um grande abraço e até à próxima e tudo bom para si. Muito obrigado por tudo. Muito obrigado.